Good morning, children. Once again, I welcome you all for today's session. Come, let's learn moral science. Today, I have a new lesson for you. Chapter 9 Self Mastery Leading to Success. Another keynote that leads to a successful life. Okay, before diving into our lesson, I would like to remind you something, my dear students. A few students are regular in sending their notes. What about others? I know you are not at all serious about your moral science classes because you have no exam for moral science. Am I right, children? Children, we have 3 more lessons to complete. After that, you will be asked to submit your moral science notebook with complete notes. Then it will be difficult for you to complete the notes as a bulk. So try to complete it as early as possible. Okay, so let's move on to our textbook and let me read the introductory paragraph. Before that, I'll give you a short introduction about the title of our lesson, Self-Mastery. Who is a master, children? In some areas in olden days, teachers are called masters. The word master has many meanings. The main person, the in charge of an organization, somebody who is expert in something. For example, I'll give you an example. Sometimes you will say, he is the master of maths. What's the meaning of that sentence, children? Yes, he is good at maths. Okay. Here, the word master means to gain control of. Here, the word master means to gain control of. So, what do you mean by self-mastery? To gain control over ourselves. Self-discipline, self-control, self-awareness, self-oriented, self-centered. A lot more words are there with self. So self-mastery means to control ourselves. Then what will be the result when we control ourselves? So if we control ourselves, it will lead to success. If we control ourselves, it will lead to success. Okay, self-mastery leading to success. So let me read the first paragraph. No human being is completely perfect. Each of us is a mix of both good and bad qualities. Since we all have faults, it's only natural that we commit mistakes in life. Okay, so let's see the meaning. It's very simple. I think don't want any explanation. No human being is completely perfect. What do you mean by that, children? Yes, everybody has mistakes. It's natural. As we are human beings, we commit mistakes in our lives. Each of us is a mix of both good and bad qualities. No human is completely perfect. We all have faults. It's natural. We commit mistakes in our lives. The ancient Adharva Veda states. Have you heard about Vedas, children? Yes, it's a religious text. The oldest scriptures are Hinduism. Do you know how many Vedas are there? Yes, there are 4 Vedas, the Rig Veda, the Yajur Veda, the Sama Veda, the Atharva Veda. So let's see the words taken from the Atharva Veda. It says, all are wicked to some extent or other. Therefore, everyone needs correction. Everyone has to be educated and guided into the right path. So what does Atharva Veda says, children? Or what does the Atharva Veda state? The Atharva Veda states that all are wicked. What do you mean by wicked? All are morally wrong. As I told you one sentence, each of us is a mix of both good and bad qualities. So, all are morally wrong to some extent or other. Therefore, everyone needs correction. So, in order to correct ourselves, we have to be educated. We have to be guided into the right path. Understood? So, what does Atharva Veda state? All are wicked to some extent or other. All are morally wrong. All are sinful. All are immoral. We all are a mix of both good and bad qualities. So everyone needs correction. So in order to correct ourselves, we have to be educated. We have to be guided into the right path. That's the words of Atharva Veda. So in order to be happy and successful, it is important that we identify our faults and try to exchange them for positive qualities. But how can we do this? Let's take a step-by-step approach. So in order to lead a happy life or in order to lead a successful life, it's important that we have to identify our faults. What do you mean by identify, children? We have to discover our faults. We have to find out our faults. We have to recognize our faults. For what? To exchange them for positive qualities. So in order to identify our faults or in order to exchange them for positive qualities, we have to be educated. We have to be guided into the right path. Okay, so how can we do this? Let's take a step-by-step approach. Okay, let's see the first step. Step number 1, identify. As I told you, identify. What do you mean by identify? Discover, find, recognize. There are numerous people around us who help us realize both our positive as well as weak points. Our parents, teachers, friends, neighbors, relatives, the list of people who draw our attention to our faults and try to correct us is quite long. All these people are our well-wishers and have a genuine love for us. They want us to enjoy a better life. That's why they tell us to get rid of the blemishes in our character. By accepting their suggestions and corrections, we can improve ourselves, become better persons and lead a happier life. So children, the first step is identify. As I told you, identify means discover, find, recognize. So let's see the explanation of the first paragraph. How to find and identify our faults. There are numerous people around us. There are numberless people around us who help us to realize our positive and weak points. Who are the children? They are our parents, teachers, friends, neighbors, relatives. The list of the people is quite long. The list of the people who draw our attention to our faults or try to correct us is quite long. Our parents, our teachers, our friends, our neighbors, all these people are our well-wishers. They have a genuine love for us. They have a sincere love for us. That's why they draw our attention to our faults and try to correct us. They want us to enjoy a better life. That's why they tell us to get rid of the blemishes in our character. Get rid of means to avoid. To give up. That is what is get rid of. Get rid of the blemishes. Blemishes means black marks. So our parents, our teachers, our friends, they are genuine or they are sincere towards us. That's why they tell us to avoid the black marks in our character. So what's the result when we accept their suggestions and corrections? When we accept their suggestions and corrections, we can improve ourselves. We can become better persons. We can lead a happier life. That's why parents and teachers draw your attention to your faults and try to correct you. Okay. Unfortunately, some of us are not happy when our faults are pointed out to us. Often we hear children complaining that their parents constantly correct them, that teachers are too strict, that friends are unkind. It is because they do not understand the hidden blessings of having so many people who care enough to want them to do better. Corrections are not to be resented, they are to be acted upon. Okay, children, so let's see the explanation. It's very familiar to you. Unfortunately, some of us are not happy when our faults are pointed out to us. It's a correct sentence, children. See, some of us are not happy. I know many of my students, they are not at all happy when I point out their faults to them. We hear children complaining that their parents constantly correct them. Children, they have a complaint. What's a complaint, children? They have a constant complaint. What's a complaint? Yes, they have a complaint that parents are constantly correct them. Parents are continuously correct them. Do this, do that, don't do that one, don't do this one, like that. And then what about the case of teachers? Teachers are also too strict. That's the complaint of the children or the students. The students will say, see, that teacher is very strict. I don't like her. Then friends, my friends, they are not at all good. They are unkind. So these are the constant complaints of children related to their parents and teachers. Because They do not understand the hidden blessing of having so many people who care enough to want them to do better. Children, you do not understand the hidden blessing of having such parents, such a loving parents, such a strict teachers, because they want you to do better in your life. Because they want you to do better in your life. That's why they constantly correcting you. The teachers are being strict to you to make your duties correctly according to the time. So, because they do not understand, who do not understand children, it is because the children, they do not understand the hidden blessing of having so many people with them. Those who care enough you to want you to do better in your lives. Corrections are not to be resented. What do you mean by resented children? Disliked. Corrections are not to be disliked. You should love the corrections. You should love the corrections of your teachers and your parents, because they are your well-wishers. They are your well-wishers. That's why they are constantly correcting you, constantly correcting you. Okay, constantly correcting you. Constantly means continuously correcting you. Okay, so corrections are not to be resented. Corrections are not to be disliked. Resented means disliked. Corrections are not to be disliked. They are to be acted upon. You have to accept the corrections. So, the first step we can take is to genuinely listen to the corrections put before us by our parents, teachers, and friends, instead of shutting down our ears and minds as soon as we hear a correction coming. Only if we listen can we identify our weakness and faults. It is better that we take time to know our faults early in life so that we can work on them before making bigger and maybe irreversible mistakes later in life. So, what would be the result if you accept the corrections of your parents and teachers? Listen, children, this is what is the result. So, what's the first step? See, the first step that we can take to listen the corrections put before you. The first step is that you have to listen sincerely. You have to listen genuinely to the corrections put before you by your parents, teachers, and friends. Don't shut down your ears and minds as soon as you hear a correction. Did you understand, children? The first step that you have to do is to listen genuinely to the corrections put before you by your parents, teachers, and friends. Please don't shut down your ears and minds as soon as you hear a correction. Only if we listen, we can identify our weakness and faults. So, what's the result if we genuinely listen to the corrections, children? If we listen the corrections genuinely, we can identify our weakness and faults. Then it's better that we take time to know our faults early in life so that we can work on them before making. So if you listen your parents or if you listen your teachers, it's better for you to not to repeat the mistake again, or maybe irreversible mistakes later in life. What's the meaning, children? Irreversible, not able to correct it. So if you are not listening, or if you are not giving your ears to your parents and teachers, you will not be able to correct it. You will not able to be altered later in your life. So what you have to do, children? Yes, you have to listen to the corrections put before you by your parents and teachers and friends. You have to listen them. Then you can identify the weakness and faults in your lives. So it is better we take time to know our faults early in life. So children, you are advised by the teachers or you are advised by the students in your early life. Do you know the reason? Because if you have corrected your mistakes in your early life, you can work on them before making it bigger, or you can lead a successful life, or you can be able to correct it in your early age itself. Okay, so what's the meaning of maybe irreversible mistakes later in life? Irreversible means not able to correct it. So you can't correct your behavior when you have grown up. So if you are in your younger stage, it's easy to correct your mistakes. It's easy to find out your faults, and you can lead a better life without making any bigger mistakes in your life. Okay, children, there is a worksheet for you. See, here it is. What can you do? So first of all, list out a few people who genuinely care for you by helping you identify the weak points in your life. So you can write 4 people, a few people, 4 of them. You can list out a few people, 4 of them. You can genuinely. So who are the children? Yes, genuinely taken care for you by helping you to identify the weak points in your lives. So who are the children? You have to write it in your textbook and you take the photograph and send it to me along with your assignment. So the first one, your parents. Second one, your teachers. Third one, your friends. Fourth one, your relatives. Did you get the list, children? A few people, list out a few people who genuinely care for you, for helping you identify the weak points in your life. First one, parents. Second one, teachers. Third one, friends. Fourth, relatives. Then identify few of the constant corrections put forth by the aforementioned group. What do you mean by, children? Aforementioned, AFOREMENTION, aforementioned group means group previously mentioned. So who are the people involved in that group previously mentioned? Here I told you, first one, number 1, parents. Number 2, teachers. Number 3, friends. Number 4, relatives. So identify few of the constant corrections. 3 lines are there, children. 3 numbers are there. Serial number 1, 2, 3. So you can identify. Think for a minute. First of all, what you have to do? Think for a minute. And you can identify the constant corrections put forth by your parents, by your teachers, by your friends and relatives. So write down 3 such corrections there in the textbook. Children, don't forget. Take the photograph and send it to me along with the assignment. As usual, there is an assignment for you, children. Only 5 questions are there. You have to read the lesson thoroughly, listen the video for 2 or 3 times and write down the assignment. Okay. So identify the constant corrections put forth or put forward by your parents, teachers, friends and relatives. 3 sentences are enough. You can write down in your textbook itself. No need to write it in the notebook. You can write in your textbook itself and send me a photograph of this page. Okay, then the assignment. So children, here comes an end of today's session. Children, cooperate with me, write the notes properly and send it to me as early as possible. Okay, thank you, children. Have a nice day.